Ancient history is not very accurate. Still valuable, but less accurate than more recent historical periods due to the scarcity of reliable sources, the potential for bias in written records. Who doesn't twist the truth of actual history in their written version to justify their political positions in the place they are in? And challenges of interpreting archaeological evidence, meaning historians often have to piece together narratives, that means make up stories, with incomplete information, potentially leading to inaccuracies in details like dates, numbers, or even motivations behind events or even events themselves. This is literally a situation where the more we dig up, the more we find out. And repeatedly we have found out that the narrative pieced together was hogwash. Hey, that keeps happening in science too. Yeah, academia's story at any time is made up. While we continue to find out the truth rather than knowing it, you stodgy. I'm gonna give you a big for instance. The Hittites were first discovered. Wait, the Hittite civilization was first discovered in the early to mid 19th century? What? With the first evidence coming from the discovery of ruins in Turkey. Now wait a minute. Until the mid-19th century, academia maintained that the Bible had fabricated the Hittite civilization to justify Hebrew geopolitical claims. And in 1834, when this French archaeologist discovered ruins, he didn't identify them as Hittite because the Bible fabricated that. Hittite doesn't exist. In 1884, William Wright discovered a script on a monument in Turkey that matched hieroglyphic scripts from Syria. Wait a minute. What's going on here? In 1886, Georges Perrault, a French archaeologist, identified the ruins as Hattusa, the Hittite capital. And in 1906, German archaeologist Hugo Winkler began excavating the site and discovered thousands of clay tablets. And one of those clay tablets lay unfired in the printing press oven. I used the term printing press there ironically. And on that tablet, the inscription read, "Help! The sea peoples are approaching our shore! I've sent my army off over here. I've lent my navy to this fella over there. I'm defenseless. Please send me your army." The oven never got fired. The sea people landed and burnt their civilization to the ground. And there it lay, covered in dust and dirt for thousands of years. Who could have known that it existed at all? The discovery of these artifacts led to the study of Hittitology, a branch of ancient Near Eastern research. The Hittites are also mentioned in the Bible. Wait. Where they are referred to as an ethnic group and as a kingdom that paid tribute to Israel. Bible knew the ancient history before academia did. Strange, it was written down already for them and all that. So here's what a lot of people seem to don't know about Europe. Nobody coalesced out of the aether here. People migrated here, and according to the DNA, not mine, according to the academic DNA studies, why Europeans migrated from the Levant to begin with. Neolithic farmers and such. But what people don't realize is that people migrated into Europe and settled down there. And then do you know what happened? People migrated into Europe and settled down there. Do you know what happened after that? Can you guess? People migrated into Europe. You know what happened after that? The Bronze Age collapse. Ruh-roh, something new. And while written historical records give us hints and clues and details for certain, and the DNA also tells us a whole bunch. What we do know is that around 1150 BC, some fellas on some boats right here collapsed 4 civilizations right up there and harassed Egypt so bad that they declined into obscurity over time. But then they disappeared. Where'd they go? I wonder where they even went to. This is where they went in their boats. That could sail much further than the Phoenician vessels of yesteryear once they had arrived here. And without a doubt, those boats appeared in 1400 BC. Wait a minute, more clues. A new kind of ship appears in the Mediterranean, 1400 BC. Write that down. We're going to notice something real funny about the DNA map. And here's the one thing that I've maintained across all fields of science. I'm not the one disputing their findings at all. If you shrink that DNA human migration map down in time, if you remove the deep time, it matches everything that I'm about to tell you perfectly. Perfectly. It's the same with the cosmological evolution and the history of the earth and all that. Deep time is a farce. It's unnecessary and a simulation. I'm not making that part up. It's unnecessary according to the science and math. When you fire Mario World up on the Nintendo, listen. Mario can look far off at those green hills in the distance and say, I wonder how long it took for those hills to form that way. About 30 seconds, Mario. I turned the power button on, fired up the simulation, and guess what? Those green hills are inherent in the code. Silly. How long did stars take to evolve? Well, it's simply just a matter of imputing the code into reality, processing that information. My PS5 renders worlds quickly. I have to wait for no features to evolve. They are all inherent in the code, and they all fire up mature. And so we have an actual precedent for what I'm saying. I'm not making that up. Simulations are called simulations because they simulate reality. Therefore, knowing things about simulations, we can also know things about our reality. Like deep time is unnecessary, and that's completely and totally logical to say. So let's talk about DNA real quick. And that I'm not here to argue with their findings. But genetic markers, how long mutations take, how we can trace how old people are and how far back the record goes. All right, just knowing that our realities that we simulate can fire up fully mature, with that being inherently in the code, and our simulations being based to begin with on our reality itself. The logic follows through from the macro to the micro, folks. That's how we're able to do it, is using the logic of our own reality to begin with. When I say deep time is unnecessary, there is a solid and concrete precedent for such a statement. It's observable science. They based the age of specimens on carbon dating, using the assumption that the carbon acts the same all the time forever. Knowing this to be false, knowing that time speeds up and slows down as it dips in and out of the galactic plane, because our solar system and our galaxy are toroidal, both in their own way, nested toroids, time and space oscillate just like you breathe in and out, continually, on all scales from the macro to the micro, because the toroids are nested. The universe itself does it. Hold on. Oscillating space-time is a theory in modern physics that suggests that the fabric of the universe is not static, but is instead constantly moving and changing. Here is the title of the paper and its author if you would like to look this up and read it. It basically says time and space oscillate at the Planck scale, at the Planck frequency. From the bottom all the way to the top, folks. Time oscillates because space does, and this is proven clearly here. Time crystals are a new phase of matter that are made up of particles that are in constant motion in both time and space. And time crystals are a whole rabbit hole into themselves, but they are very real. It's just that they collapse and disappear if you try to observe them. Any interaction at all causes them to disappear, but they oscillate in time and space. And time on the Earth also oscillates. The Earth is tilted and wobbles, exposing different parts of it to different gravity of the sun at different times, and time is relative. And just like our galaxy has a galactic plane that our solar system dips in and out of, causing space-time itself to expand and contract, our sun also has a gravitational plane that our planet wobbles through, and the Earth itself has a core that speeds up and slows down. Time is not constant on any level because neither is space. It expands and contracts like breathing on every level from the bottom to the top. And I've shown that to you scientifically 4 ways. Deep time is an illusion. I just showed it to you. Time and space expanding and contracting on every single level. That's my only big beef with academia. And they should already know this. And they do, here and there. The city of Dan is located at the headwaters of the Jordan River. Renamed the city of Dan. When the tribe of Dan conquered Laish, the city got renamed Dan. The river got renamed Jordan, and you cannot find one reference to the river Jordan before 1400 BC. You also cannot find reference to the Danube River until after Dan got there, known for sailing ships and conquering places. And the Germanic tribes invaded from the coast inward before crossing the Rhine. Denmark and Sweden. In fact, the Norse claim their descendancy from mythical King Dan and his brother Angle. And it's a funny thing when you trace the word Den and find that it doesn't appear anywhere in any written anything until after 1400 BC. It's strange. And oh, I am well studied on all the cultures of Europe, near and far, and also how they all got conquered and reorganized after the Bronze Age collapse, and how all the mythologies trace back to Sumer and the Levant, knowing that all modern Europeans descend from fellows that came from that region to begin with, the Levant. I know academia does not agree with me, and yet they are confounded as to what the truth of history could even be. I am not, and I make no apologies for that. I'm using their data to construct my narrative just like they are. Only I zoom out to fill in the holes. The data's all there.